Peter, do you remember the first gig you ever worked as an audio engineer?
The first gig I ever worked as an audio engineer that was after all my studies was here at the Accidental Theatre. It was with yourself.
Yep.
It was an interesting gig with Rosa, which was my first kind of step into Belfast as a freelance kind of engineer, which was a gig. I think it was a 5-piece band, and it opened my eyes of that Belfast is there's a lot going on in Belfast.
Yeah. Sometimes you've got to.
I didn't realize how much there was actually going on in Belfast, even just right down the road.
Yeah, and it's funny that this is the first gig that you remember doing, and you said you had quite a vivid memory of a lot of it, and I have some pretty vivid memories of like really early gigs I've done, but that particular gig, like that was, I don't know, the 300th gig I'd done here particularly, so I remember that it happened. I remember that you were there.
Yeah. The details are a bit blurry.
The details are blurry. Like you said, there was a band. I was like, was there a band? Whoa.
Yeah.
And that's like one of the things I guess I notice performers don't necessarily get about this side of things. Like if you see a band 2 or 3 weeks after you've seen them, they expect that you'll remember exactly how their setup is and thing, and you're like, I've seen like 20 bands since I did this gig with you.
A lot of people will come up to me and be like, "Oh, Peter, it's been a long time since I've seen you. Like, how you been?" I remember your name.
Yeah.
And your face.
I don't even. I remember face. I don't even.
I remember maybe that I've worked with you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say hello.
Yeah.
And we're gonna get cracking on. But whether you expect me to remember your setup, your gain, everything to do with your entire setup,
that you've got 3 keyboards and a saxophone player.
I might go into my scenes and it's still there.
Yeah, that's great.
But that's just, it happened to be me saving it for future.
Yeah.
Not keeping it up in here.
No, well, because it's that thing of they only meet one sound engineer that night.
Yeah.
You meet 15 musicians per night, something like that. Yeah. I mean, I remember the first sort of gigs I was ever doing, which were in the Pavilion Bar, back when they still had like an old analog desk and you had to write down all the settings in between sound checks, which thank God for digital now.
Digital makes things so much fun. Like if you know analog, you know every desk.
Yeah.
But digital, the fact that you can save things, you can just press a fader and all of your other faders will show up on the desk.
Yeah.
Go to your different layers and stuff.
Yeah, no, it's like you wouldn't go back.
No, computers remember a lot more than your brain can.
Yeah, the computer will remember the band.
Yeah.
We don't remember that they had a saxophone, but the computer will reload it and you're like, oh, they had a saxophone.
Yeah. Oh, I spent 2 hours doing this entire EQ for one person. Good thing I did
it. Doing gigs here now, and mostly the freelance gigs that I would do, unless it's a particularly like big thing or there's something strange about it that I'm not used to, it feels pretty routine now.
Yeah.
And like it's not particularly scary. Like I guess like any job when you used to it, but I do remember the first sort of gigs I would do then, like I was always worried primarily because I guess as any kind of events technician, you feel like you're the kind of bottleneck of the show.
Yeah, everything revolves around whether you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Otherwise the show won't happen.
Yeah, like there could be a band of 5 musicians, there could be 3 bands with 3 or 4 or 5 musicians each, but all their stuff runs through you.
Yeah.
And if you break something, or if you make a terrible mistake,
if you forget to put phantom power on,
and the mics don't work, or
like bands, people will know certain things to do with their own instruments, and that's what they specialize in. They might know that I need this such and such mic, I need phantom power, but they don't know why they need that.
Yeah, they just know it's a thing.
They know that I need this. They'll go to you if there's a problem. If extension lead doesn't work, you have to get another one. If the mic doesn't work, a lead doesn't work. It's your kind of responsibility to.
Yeah.
It's a lot of pressure, but it's also nice to be relied upon of your own expertise.
Yeah.
It's like, this is what I've trained to do.
Yes.
And at the end of the day, it'll be a gig.
Yeah, it's nice to deploy it.
It'll be all the parts involved. Like I've done a lot of gigs when I was studying in more of a group setting. Like I've done stuff in the Armagh Theatre, and I've done stuff in SRC and stuff. But whenever I first did stuff, like get my first gigs here, that was my first solo experience.
Sure, there was no one else there.
There was no one else to kind of support, and having the responsibility was a lot on your shoulders.
Yeah.
But if everything goes well at the end of the night, you feel quite good.
Yeah, it's
'cause
great. Yeah, yeah.
like,
And maybe it's just they
it
come
was,
off stage, they're like, oh, that was great.
yeah.
And yeah.
Even meanwhile, for the past 2 hours, you've been stressing out and pulling your hair out,
Yeah.
just trying to figure things out. But they don't know that.
Yeah.
Like, the audience will not see your stress.
No.
They'll see a good gig
Yeah.
and good good musicians,
Yeah.
and then they'll remember, oh yeah, the sound engineer was there too.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, it's like plumbing. People say a lot.
Yeah.
It's sort of thing like if it works fine, you don't even think about it, and if it goes wrong, it's a huge problem.
yeah, it's a thankless job,
It can be thankless.
but
Yeah.
very rewarding.
Yeah. And yeah, like you're saying, the audience don't know that you were stressing about something that wasn't working up until 5 minutes before showtime.
Yeah.
As long as it works 5 minutes before showtime.
Exactly. Yeah.
We could probably talk about some disasters that we've had at gigs.
Disasters are few and far between
Mm,
because things can usually be fixed right
Yeah.
there and then.
exactly.
But it's more so figuring out where and why something has went wrong
Mm,
and what are you going to do to solve it.
yeah. Well, I've got a story about something that happened where I wasn't able to do any of those things.
Oh, okay.
So, this was really early on. Like I'd only been working like a year or two, and a guy that I knew had called me up to say, "Oh, can you come and work on this gig? We don't have a sound engineer for it." And I just agreed to it because it was a gig. And I turned up, and it was for Rory Gallagher's Taste. So obviously not Rory Gallagher
Yeah.
because he's been dead for however long it is, but like the continuation band
Mhm.
that was Taste, that was him, that had, some pretty high profile local players in it. So, it wasn't the Rolling Stones, but like it was a big show for Belfast. So instantly I'm super nervous about it.
Yeah, it's big for yourself as well.
Yeah. And it was in a venue that I hadn't run sound before. And I couldn't get the PA working.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't get any sound.
Yeah.
Like I had stuff plugged in. The stuff was coming to the desk. I couldn't figure out why the desk wasn't sending sound out to the speakers. They had the amps in some back room in a cage. I didn't understand what any of the settings were.
Uh-huh.
And in the end, the guy who'd booked me for the gig had to phone, like, I don't know, a house engineer or something to come down and like fix whatever thing it was while I stood there looking like an idiot.
But sometimes it's just a case of them coming in and pressing a switch.
Yeah, like
single switch
sometimes
that
it
you
can
didn't
be
know
pretty,
existed.
yeah. Or like I was at some other gig and it turned out the problem was the cables that plug into the main PA were hidden behind like a big notice board.
Okay.
And I was thinking like, why would I have ever thought to look?
Unless you've worked here for 5 years, you won't know about it. Yeah.
You won't know that.
I've had the exact same thing
Yeah.
in certain gigs, and it's a case of there was no sound coming out of the PA, there was sound coming out of the house system for their house music.
Like a nightmare situation.
But you don't know why this option won't switch over. Spent an hour trying to figure it out. The bands were getting stressed. I was getting stressed. Rang the manager of the building, and she just came up and pressed a switch, and that was it.
That was it.
The sound was there.
Yeah.
And turns out that's all you needed to know.
Yeah, but if you don't know it's that switch, then there's no real way, even as someone trained in this, that you could be like, oh, it's that switch.
Yeah, it depends on your familiarity with the place.
That exact system, and which...
Like I've got so familiar with here
Yeah.
that I would be comfortable enough to go and find where things are
Yes.
and figure out, okay, I know where this is. What's the problem? Is this thing on?
Yeah.
Is there enough power getting to it? Is there a wrong lead?
Yeah, you know where the cables are running in the walls or something. So
Like if you know one desk, you know them all.
Yeah.
But then there's another time in a bar in Belfast that I went in and they had a 8-channel desk. 3 channels didn't work. And they had big tape over saying don't use. And there was loads of wires, really, really old wires covered in dust. And I was like, right, okay, there's 6 people on stage. How will I get everyone mic'd and
with 5 channels?
With 5 channels.
6 people, 5 channels.
How am I going to work this?
Yeah.
And it ended up being kind of a smaller space so that they had a jambi and stuff, and it travelled
Carried,
to the sound. Didn't need a mic that, thankfully.
Yeah.
But then first band went great. Second band went great. Then as the second band were finishing their set, the PA started to crackle. And it kept getting louder and louder and louder and louder and louder. Me, first time being in this space, not understanding why.
Yeah.
The event manager was like, what are we going to do? And
Yeah.
his only suggestion because he knew that this is a recurring issue,
Yeah.
his only suggestion was turn the PA off for 10 minutes
Oh, and then
and let it settle.
Oh, wow.
So that meant that we had to
Yeah.
turn the PA off, which I had never done. I had never had
Yeah.
to stop a gig
Yeah.
to fix an issue. And it wasn't even that I could just change the socket or change the power.
He just wanted you to let it sit.
He was like,
Yeah,
if you don't let it sit, it will blow up. Because
it's like
it'll
you should maybe
short.
get a new PA.
Maybe get a new PA. And that meant that the headline act was very, very unhappy.
Yeah.
Very, very unhappy with me.
Sure.
Because
Which is how
it was my job,
even though it's
despite not having any control.
Yeah.
And thankfully, it was a fundraiser, so everyone was there to support a cause.
Sure.
And they were there to support like the people playing, but the headline act took it very personal.
Yeah.
And said that I had done this to them.
Yeah. It's difficult, isn't it?
But I've learned since to check everything before you start. Is the PA working? Check with the venue manager, like what is going to be wrong? Is there anything I should expect?
Yeah.
And
yeah,
whether the artist booking the place knows that as well.
Yeah.
Like if they know what they're getting into, they'll be able to pre-warn you and say, "Oh, this might be an issue in the future.
Yeah, we've had
Keep an eye on it."
Yeah, there's fluorescent lights in there, so it's going to cause some buzz or something.
But
yeah.
Unless you're told, the issue will just happen, and you have to deal with it there and then.
Yeah, and if people are if that act had been forewarned about that,
oh yeah,
they might not have been so raging.
They might have maybe taken a 10-minute break in between each set.
Yes.
But they only had a certain amount of time.
Sure.
And it was a small venue, so that like, thankfully it was a small enough venue that the people there were understanding.
Yeah.
And the audience were like, okay, I'm just
fair
gonna
enough.
get
Yeah,
another
if it has to happen, sure.
There's very little times that you'll have a team at your back to
help
you with just anything, especially if you're doing like freelance stuff.
Yeah. No, 100%. Yeah. And I mean, even like when you're freelancing, people are kind of reluctant to even pay you an amount that's decent for you.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like if you try to bring other people.
No. It's not worth the time and money.
No.
Especially if you're transporting yourself to the gig.
Yeah.
Transporting your gear to the gig. You need to take into account that, is this worth my time and my money to put the effort in?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you need to force yourself to get exposure.
Yeah, you've got to work.
You got to put your name out.
Yeah.
And people need to know who you are, because then they'll call you again.
Yes.
And if things go well, they'll call you again.
Yeah. And I mean, that's something that people would occasionally ask me, like younger people at gigs that I'm working who are maybe interested in getting into this. Yep. And they're like, how did you get into this? And I think we both studied this formally.
Yeah.
You were at Queen's and I was at Cirque. But like that's really just a grounding.
Yeah, it gives you a base of understanding, but it depends on what you do, whether it gives you practical experience.
Yeah.
And practical experience goes a long way.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I had a lot of that.
Yeah.
But it was in a controlled environment, not real world.
And that's the thing, like, that was actually something I was going to say earlier. They say about, road signs are mostly where something has gone wrong before.
Exactly. Yeah.
And like that's mostly how you figure out things that you need to do when something goes really wrong. You're like, oh, right, I can't let that happen again. How do I not? And you don't know what's going to go wrong until you do a bunch of shows and have some disasters. It's hard. Like it's almost impossible to teach that.
No, it's learning through failure and experience.
Yeah.
And just bettering it. And I just remember the first time, I think it was one of the first times we were working together, was you reminded me that it's not heart surgery.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, the worst thing that can happen is the gig doesn't go ahead.
Exactly.
And that is maybe 1 in a million chance of that happening, because you can fix things.
The stakes really are so low.
Yeah.
And it's hard to remember that when you've got like a group of people who are angry at you, because the stakes for them are super high.
Yeah.
But really, in reality, like a gig might not happen, or a gig might not be quite as good as you want it to. But no one's going to die.
But the perspective of the audience, they might not know anything went wrong. They don't know the script.
Yeah.
They don't know the running order. They don't know what the songs are.
Yeah.
They're there to have a good time and have a nice night. Unless they have an insight into the industry or into a certain band,
they
won't be able to tell.
No, and hopefully the people that do are quite sympathetic.
Yeah.
Like, so I know, I'm sure you've encountered them as well, like some people who know a little bit of stuff about sound engineering or something technical, who then are kind of bothering you about it. They're like, oh, why is this thing or why are you not
Yeah.
doing that? And you're thinking, God, if you were sitting where I'm sitting and having to deal with all these
Yeah.
problems.
You would. It's having people give their opinion on something
Yeah.
that's they have an inkling into.
Yeah. Know enough to be dangerous.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it'll impact you in some way, but
Yeah.
you just gotta keep going.
Yeah. You know, that's one of the things that I tell young people if they ask me, like, how did you get into this? You know, you can study some stuff about it, but in terms of like actually working at it and getting work, like I just started being the sound engineer for some gigs that my friends were putting on.
Exactly. Yeah.
And, you know, you weren't getting paid that much, but you were meeting bands
Mm-hmm.
and you're trying to be nice to them. And, you know, then eventually, like, you get it good enough at it and you've met enough people that someone needs a sound engineer for something and they call you. And then it's just,
It's
it's that kind of industry. Unless you get into, I guess, like corporate stuff or like a big production house or something, it's mostly a kind of gig
it's who
economy.
you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, if you know a lot of people, there's just more opportunity.
Yeah.
And I've had the same thing where friends' bands said, "Oh, I'm doing a gig next week. Are you free?"
Hmm.
And I'll say, "Yeah, sure." Because even if you're not getting paid much, or even if it's not a big gig,
Hmm.
you still will have a nice time,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's more
Hopefully.
experience. Well,
Yeah.
hopefully, a nice time, and it's more experience because you just do more of what you're doing
Yeah.
and get used to actually being in that setting. And over time, the stress will just diminish.
Yeah.
Like, you won't worry about plugging in a mic and the gain being too high. You'll know, I'll put the gain down low, plug the mic in, make sure
Yeah.
it's muted, like making sure things are muted before you plug it in, so that you don't get a pop from the PA.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just, you'll start to have your own little routine.
Yeah.
And I found that here, that I know my routine so well that a mistake that I would have made 3 years ago wouldn't even come into my mind, because it's just muscle memory.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's nice to have that kind of structure.
Yeah.
It's an industry that doesn't really have structure at times,
Yeah. Yeah.
like support
Especially,
systems.
yeah.
Um,
If you're doing it in the way that we're doing it, like I said, we're not in like a big corporate thing or like a big production house, then yeah, you're often just by yourself making stuff up.
yeah, there are people who are able to get into the corporate side,
Mm.
but they'll be there for 30 years, and they'll probably have taken them 30 years to get to that point.
Mm.
They'll stay there. Like, if you're going to the Opera House, if you're going to the
Yeah.
SSE,
Like BBC stuff.
they are all
Yeah.
professionals who have been in the industry for so long,
Yeah.
and they have got such a big portfolio that they are relied upon.
Yeah.
You just have to get to that point.
This profession has like such a reputation for like some, like, you ask people to picture a sound engineer and it's like a bald, grumpy, middle-aged man.
Yep.
who's
I was thinking the exact same
really
thing.
rude to the musicians.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of them about.
There is. I didn't think that it was true until I actually saw it in practice.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's a lot more common than you'd think.
Yeah.
And the stereotype exists for a reason.
Yeah.
Like, you'll go to different bars in Belfast, and some will be the kindest person you've ever met,
Mm.
good at their job, but very timid,
Yeah.
and just does their own thing, will introduce themselves to the band at the start, and maybe say bye at the end, but that's it. They won't build a
Yeah.
rapport.
Yeah. There's not a lot
And
of crack.
then there'll be another instance where they'll be grumpy and want things done their way. If you don't do it their way, it's either their way or no way.
Yeah.
And especially if, like, it's a new artist, or maybe they haven't played many gigs and they're not confident, it'll impact their kind of view of
Yeah. Yeah.
like a sound
Yeah.
engineer and what they're going to expect if they go down to
Yeah.
another gig, and it might leave a sour taste in their mouth.
Yeah.
And that's something I try my best not to be.
Yeah, and I mean it's difficult because like any job, and especially any job where you're working with like some part of the public, like they do try you sometimes.
Oh yeah.
But like, being nice to people, generally a good business strategy. Like just in a kind of an ephemeral way, but I know there's specifically a set of gigs I get a couple of times a year that I know that I get because the promoter's regular guy is too mean
Oh yeah.
for the particular type of event which features a lot of young musicians.
Mhm.
And he's like, I can't have that guy around these young musicians because
It's
he'll be too mean to them,
yeah.
and it won't work.
It's nice to know that you're relied upon for that reason, though.
Yeah, sure.
That you're like, okay, you're the nice one,
Yeah,
and you're good at your job.
yeah. You have to
Just
be good enough at your job, but also ideally
yeah,
nice.
like you have to be
Yeah,
a sound engineer that people won't have nightmares about.
yeah,
Because I've had nightmares about just gigs going wrong and waking up and being like,
yeah.
that was the worst experience of my life.
Mm,
And it's just a possibility that like you're always expecting things to go wrong,
mm.
well, or hoping things that don't go wrong.
Yeah, yeah. You're expecting that there's going to be problems you have to troubleshoot at least.
Yeah.
Yeah. 'Cause
And then you'll
otherwise
get through the gig and be like, oh no, the things I was worried about didn't
Yeah,
happen.
yeah. Things that you wish you'd known at the
Things I
start.
wish I'd known.
Think of any.
The one that comes to mind first is you have to get your name out there,
Mm,
and you have to actually like put yourself out there and speak
yeah.
to people and make a kind of rapport with people, or else you'll just maybe do a gig with them once and they'll never contact you again because they don't know how to find you, they don't
Yeah,
know
yeah.
like who you are, where you're based. Building your portfolio in a way that you've got a different range of things,
Yeah, so you
not
can
just
do
stuck in
more.
the one
Yeah.
place. Like I've done plays, I've done gigs, like stand-up stuff,
Mm.
and you meet a lot of different interesting people who will
Yeah,
remember
do
you because you
different
did a good
fields.
job,
Yeah, yeah.
and they'll call on you again because you were a nice person and
Yeah.
you were able to establish like
Yeah.
a reliable person.
Yeah.
That's one thing, and then that there isn't really a structure for the industry.
Sure, if you're
If
sort
you're
of
on
doing
your
it
own,
your own. Yeah, yeah, of course. Yeah.
so you need to kind of have a baseline of I know what I want to do,
Mm.
and it's whether you have your own equipment, whether
'Cause
you'll have to go to.
some gigs, yeah, they want you to have bring a stuff. Some gigs, it doesn't
Yeah.
matter. Yeah, yeah.
It depends on if you're confident that if a venue doesn't have something, are you going to be able to supplement it
Yeah.
with your own gear?
Yeah.
Are you going to be able to transport that gear? It's a lot of logistical work that you
Mm.
don't realize.
Well, yeah, and actually, this is another thing I say to the circ students that come to shadow me here. Like when I was first getting into this, what I was thinking sound engineering was kind of like, you're mixing a Pink Floyd album or something,
Yeah.
and you're like putting all crazy delays on things, and actually, like obviously, like most other jobs, 99% of it is like labeling your channels carefully
that's the
and
thing,
like
yeah.
working out the logistical details of how I'm going to get this equipment to this place. It's like,
That's where your time is spent.
yeah, it's all the boring stuff.
Yeah.
Like almost everything else.
You need your baseline every single
Yeah.
time. And then if you're maybe doing a gig in the same space and then the same band comes back, that's when you can tweak their EQ a wee bit.
Yeah,
you can add a bit of interesting
yeah.
delay and experiment with it a bit and have your freedom. But if you don't have that baseline, you'll need to keep building it up if you're time.
Yeah, and like on this exact same theme, like live sound is so fundamentally an exercise in compromise.
Yeah.
Like especially in places like where we would work, sort of smaller venues, like you're not at Wembley Stadium where the audience 200 feet from the stage can't hear any of the musicians unless they're coming through the PA.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the smaller venues up to like a few hundred people, there's so much sound coming off the stage that if the drummer's really, like I've had people come up and tell me, can you turn down this guitar player? Can you turn down that drummer? And me saying, I don't have any of their mics turned on. All you're hearing is them playing.
You have to think about whether the performer has dynamic control over their own instrument.
Yeah, which most of them, they get excited and
Yeah, you get in the moment and you just want to play
Yeah.
and you're excited and you're having fun playing your gig.
yeah,
But then you get so focused on your own stuff that you don't accommodate for the rest of the band. Like a drummer will play too loud and it'll overpower the singer
yeah.
and the audience won't be able to hear a word apart from your kick drum.
Which is like, as I'm sure you find, like that's one of the main
Yeah.
issues working in venues that you have a lot of the venues around Belfast.
Yeah.
Loud drummer, quiet singer, and your job that night isn't, oh, how do I make this band sound amazing? Your job is like, how can I possibly carve enough space just so that the audience can hear the lyrics? Like the compromise you're trying to make.
Someone in the audience to say, "Oh, I can't hear the vocals." I'm like, "Yes, I am aware.
Yeah,
I am unfortunately
that's
aware."
been my full focus for the past like hour or
Yeah,
something.
but I can't go up on stage and tell the drummer to play a lot quieter because
Yeah.
then that'll throw them off their game.
And Yeah, and like this thing we were talking about earlier about being nice to musicians and like establishing a rapport, like uh, often I'll you tell guitar players, can you turn the amps down, please? Or bass players or anyone, or, talk to the drummer at sound check and explaining things about like, oh, if you can play a little bit quieter, the overall band will sound better. And, often, like we're saying, they get into the heat of the moment and they don't remember that, which is completely understandable. But I guess that's another big thing as well as like the boring logistical stuff that you don't necessarily realize at the start that obviously it's a technical job, but so much of it is about like soft skills, like interpersonal stuff, like being able to talk to a guitar player who just wants to do like a big crazy solo and be like, and the bottom line is you're asking them, I need you to be less. I know you want to be out front, but I need you to be less out front.
Yeah.
And finding out a way to kind of persuade them to agree with you on that.
Yeah, it's trying to figure out like, yes, in a live situation, things are much different than a studio situation.
Yeah.
And they might be playing like they're going to record an album and they'll play kind of there's the practice level and then your gig level.
Yeah.
It's finding a balance in between and adjusting to the space.
Yeah. Yeah, because all the rooms are different.
The acoustics are going to be different. The sound check might be different from the actual gig because the audience will filter in.
Yeah, which big, like 100, 200 big, like bags of water that absorb the sound. Yeah.
And whether there's going to be feedback from any of the mics or whether a monitor is giving the performer enough of themselves so they can hear themselves, and is the monitor going to pick up on any of the mics? It's a lot of just you figure out one problem. It's like, okay, is this going to affect something else? Okay,
and,
I'll accommodate that.
And they all do. Yeah, it's all
everything
completely
affects
interconnected.
each other.
Yeah.